everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today I am sharing a powerful motivational story in simple English, a story about a young runner who tried again and again but never won, until he changed the meaning of success. Listen closely, learn new words, improve your English, and get inspired. Let's begin. In a small village surrounded by rolling green hills, dusty roads, and forests that whispered when the wind passed through, lived a young boy named Daniel Turner. Daniel loved running more than anything in the world. When other children played board games, Daniel ran. When they slept late on weekends, Daniel tied his shoes at dawn and sprinted along the countryside roads. Running wasn't just exercise for him, it was freedom. Every year the village held a grand marathon, a tradition passed down for generations. Runners from nearby towns traveled great distances to join. Some ran for trophies, some for honor. But Daniel ran because it made him feel alive. Even as a child, his parents remembered him running instead of walking, racing the dogs along the fields, chasing the sunlight across the riverbanks. But despite his passion and effort, Daniel never won. He tried the marathon when he was 10 years old. He finished near the bottom. At 11, he finished in the middle. At 13, he finally placed 10th. People congratulated him politely, but Daniel went home frustrated. He trained even harder the next year, but still no victory. By the time he was 16, Daniel had competed in the village marathon 7 times. 7 attempts, 7 failures. People in the village started whispering, "He's not built to win. He should find something else. He trains so much but still loses." Some laughed. Some were cruel. Others sympathized but still believed he should give up. But Daniel didn't. Every morning, even when the sky was still dark and the birds were asleep, Daniel ran. He ran on cold mornings when frost covered the grass. He ran when his muscles ached. He ran when his heart hurt from disappointment. He ran because he believed that one day, if he worked hard enough, his moment would come. His best friend, Maria, often watched him train. She admired his discipline but also worried. One evening, after Daniel returned from another exhausting run, she said, "Daniel, why put yourself through so much pain for a race you might never win?" Daniel stared at the ground. He didn't know how to answer. He just felt something inside him, a burning spark that refused to die, because he finally said, "I want to prove that hard work can change destiny." Maria smiled softly but said no more. Deep inside, she wanted to believe him, but she also feared that his hope would one day break his heart. Another year, another loss. When Daniel was 17, he entered the marathon again. He had trained harder than ever. He ran before school. He lifted weights at night. He improved his diet. He studied race strategies. He tracked his times every day. He had never been stronger, faster, or more prepared. On race day, the streets buzzed with excitement. Families gathered along the pathways, waving flags and cheering for their favorite runners. Musicians played drums, stalls sold food, and the village came alive with celebration. Daniel stood at the starting line, heart pounding, sweat on his palms. He whispered to himself, "This is my year." The whistle blew. Runners surged forward like a wave. Daniel ran with perfect rhythm, just as he practiced. His breathing was steady. His legs felt powerful. He overtook 3 runners, then 5, then 10. Villagers cheered. Daniel is in the lead. He's finally doing it. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt victory close enough to touch. But at the 18-kilometer mark, something changed. A runner from the city at all, professional athletes slowly closed the gap. His steps were smooth and effortless. Daniel tried to increase his speed, but his legs trembled with fatigue. By kilometer 20, the city runner passed him. By kilometer 23, another runner overtook him. By the finish line, Daniel finished 4th. Not bad, very respectable, but not a win. As he crossed the line, Daniel collapsed to his knees, not from pain, but from heartbreak. He had given everything, and it still wasn't enough. The breaking point that afternoon, Daniel sat alone on a wooden bench near the river. The golden sunset reflected in the water, but he barely noticed. His hands covered his face. What am I doing wrong? Why can't I win? Do I not deserve it? Footsteps approached quietly. It was Mr. Harrison, the oldest running coach in the region. He had trained champions for 40 years and had seen hundreds of victories and thousands of failures. He sat beside Daniel without speaking at first. Then he said gently, "You look like someone who has lost more than a race." Daniel didn't respond. Mr. Harrison continued, "Tell me, Daniel, why do you run?" Daniel looked up, confused. "To win the race, of course." The old coach smiled sadly. "And that is your problem." Daniel frowned. "How can that be wrong? Isn't everyone trying to win?" Mr. Harrison tapped Daniel's chest lightly. "Because you are running against the wrong opponent." Daniel blinked. "What do you mean?" The coach pointed down the dirt path where the marathon had been run earlier. "You are trying to beat the people ahead of you. But the real competitor is the version of you from yesterday. If you wake up every day thinking, 'I must beat them,' then you have already lost because you have given them control over your motivation." Daniel stared, speechless. Mr. Harrison continued, "You did not fail today because someone was better. You failed because your measurement of success was outside of your control. If your goal is to improve yourself, then you can never lose." The old man stood, preparing to leave, but added one more sentence. "Start running to become better than the Daniel from yesterday and everything will change." Then he walked away, leaving Daniel alone with a new thought burning in his mind, a new goal. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. Mr. Harrison's words echoed over and over. "Beat the old Daniel, not the other runners." The next morning, Daniel tied his shoes again. But something was different. He didn't measure how close he got to beating someone else's record. He measured whether he was better than yesterday. If yesterday he ran 30 minutes, today he ran 31. If yesterday he did 100 steps, today he did 110. If yesterday he gave up at the hill, today he pushed 1 meter farther. Slowly, his training transformed. He smiled when he improved by even a single second. He learned to enjoy the process rather than chase the result. He discovered pride in small progress rather than frustration in slow results. Maria noticed the change immediately. "You look calmer," she said one morning. Daniel nodded. "I stopped racing other people. I'm racing myself." 1% better. Weeks turned into months. Daniel did not overhaul his training drastically. He didn't find a magical shortcut. Instead, he improved just 1% every day. One more putt, one extra lap, better breathing, cleaner foot strike, earlier stretch, more disciplined routine. Small progress is invisible day to day, but obvious over time. For the first time in years, running brought him joy again. When he was tired, he didn't feel defeated, he felt proud. When he struggled, he reminded himself, "Yesterday I couldn't do this. Today I can. That means I am winning." The next marathon, a year passed quickly. Race day returned, the village buzzed with the same excitement, music, and celebration. But this time, Daniel stood at the starting line with no pressure on his shoulders. His heart was calm. He wasn't trying to beat the champion next to him. He wasn't obsessed with the trophy. He wasn't running to prove anything to society. He was running simply to be better than the Daniel who ran last year. The whistle blew. Runners surged forward. Daniel didn't rush. He kept his pace steady, breathing in sync with his steps. At kilometer 10, he felt strong. At kilometer 18, he remembered how he slowed last year and pushed just a little harder. At kilometer 20, he saw something surprising. The city runner was just ahead. Daniel didn't panic. He didn't think, "I must beat him," he thought. "This is just one more chance to be better than yesterday." He leaned forward and gently increased his pace. His legs burned, his lungs protested. But his heart was calm. Step by step, meter by meter, he closed the gap. With 2 kilometers left, he overtook the city runner. People cheered. Daniel is leading. He's doing it again. This time he looks unstoppable. But Daniel barely heard them. He wasn't listening to the crowd. He was listening to himself. He pushed through every weakness, every doubt, every limitation the old Daniel once had. And when he crossed the finish line, something unbelievable happened. He finished first. The judge shouted his name. The crowd erupted into applause. Children waved flags. Maria ran to him with tears in her eyes. "You did it," she cried. Daniel was breathing hard, his body trembling, but he was smiling. Not because he defeated other runners, but because he defeated the version of himself who always stopped just before the breakthrough. A victory beyond winning. At the award ceremony, the village head handed Daniel the gold medal. Cameras flashed. People cheered, but Daniel wasn't thinking about fame, applause, or the trophy in his hands. He was thinking about every morning he woke up tired but trained anyway. Every night he wanted to quit but didn't. Every day he improved just a little when no one was watching. When he stepped off the stage, Mr. Harrison approached him, smiling. "You see now?" the old coach asked. Daniel nodded. "I finally understand it." And then he said the words that would stay with him forever. "I didn't win today because I beat the other runners. I won because I finally beat the old version of myself." The lesson of Daniel Turner. Daniel's story teaches something powerful, something every dreamer, student, athlete, artist, entrepreneur, and ordinary person needs to understand. Success is not about being better than others. Success is about being better than the person you were yesterday. When you measure life through comparison, someone will always be richer, someone will be faster, someone will be stronger, someone will start ahead of you, and if you let that define your self-worth, you will always feel behind. But when your competition is your past self, then every small improvement is a victory. Every step forward is success. Every failure becomes a lesson. You never lose as long as you grow. Life is not one big race. It is thousands of small ones against the person you used to be. Keep winning those, and greatness will eventually follow. The 1% rule. Many people look for overnight success, fast transformation, instant achievement, quick results. But real champions follow a different formula. Improve 1% every day, just like Daniel did. 1% a day seems small, invisible, meaningless. But over weeks, months, and years, it becomes unstoppable. 1% better habits, 1% better discipline, 1% better thinking, 1% stronger effort. If you start today, a year from now, people will look at you and say, "You changed so much." They will think it happened suddenly. But you will know the truth. It happened quietly, in small steps, when no one was watching. Your story begins today. You don't need to overhaul your life today. You don't need to jump 10 steps forward. You don't need to be perfect. Just ask yourself, what can I do today to be 1% better than yesterday? And then do it. Read one more page, learn one more word, save one more dollar, train one more minute, take one more step. Small wins create big victories. Daniel didn't become champion in one day. No one does. But one small improvement at a time, he transformed into someone he once only dreamed of becoming. You can too. Because the truth is simple. If you don't quit, you can't lose. If you keep growing, success will eventually come. And one day, like Daniel, you will look back and say, "I didn't win because I beat others. I won because I beat who I used to be." Thank you so much for listening to this motivational story. If this story inspired you, remember this. You, Dante, have to be better than others. You only have to be better than who you were yesterday. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more daily English motivation stories. See you in the next video.